So today we're going to be talking about one of the most important techniques in 4-mallet marimba playing. And when you're going from 2 mallets to 4 mallets for the first time, you'd think independent strokes would be very easy, very seamless. Well, not quite. Imagine you're turning 2 knobs, maybe it's volume knobs on a DJ set. I used to spend so much time on these techniques thinking, well, if I get my triple laterals up to 300 BPM, if I get my one-handed roll to be super smooth, then I should be able to be a complete, total marimba genius. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of The Studio. My name is Adam, and it's time for yet another Technique Talk.
I recall Central Park in fall. Not the shame.
Thank you so much to my studio VIPs, Robert Utomo, Will Flinner, Marimba Morris, Ryan Carlisle, Sangshun Han, Scott Rader, Greg Harris, Dom Sonic Chung, Dean P. Newberger, and Bradley Crowley. Thank you so much for your continued support. And today's featured studio artist is Jeff Grafton. Thank you so much for your continued support. And if you'd like to become a studio VIP or a studio artist, you can go to patreon.com/Adam10, or you can click over here. Welcome back to the show once again. Hope you've been well, hope you've been staying safe. And yes, I hope you've been enjoying the recent performance uploads, including my video of Shehua Piao Piao and also Paganini Caprice #1, which I uploaded a couple of days ago. If you haven't checked out that video, it's over here. So recently, a subscriber of the show, who is also a studio VIP, sent me a message talking about going back to basics. His name is Bradley Crowley, and he was having some trouble with some pieces because he was unable to get his left hand to be as quick as his right hand when it came to 4 mallet rotations. And he said that it wasn't until he went back to basics that he was able to rectify the problem, and that maybe I should make a video about that. So today we're going to be talking about one of the most important techniques in 4 mallet marimba playing. It is the independent stroke. So the independent stroke is basically when you strike the marimba with just 1 mallet at a time. And it's one of the most used marimba techniques in modern marimba music. You'll often hear it when you have single line melodies. And also when you have passages that have repeated notes. You'd think that the transition between playing with just 2 mallets with a single stroke roll to 4 mallets with independent strokes would be very easy, very seamless. Well, not quite. You may have seen some of my older Technique Talk videos where I talk about more advanced techniques, things like double laterals, triple laterals, one-handed rolls, double vertical octaves. When I was in university and in high school, I used to spend so much time on these techniques thinking, well, if I get my triple laterals up to 300 BPM, if I get my one-handed roll to be super smooth, then I should be able to be a complete, total marimba genius. But after spending so much time on all of these more flexing techniques, when it came time to actually play some advanced marimba repertoire, even though I could do the advanced techniques, they were very stiff and they felt very uncomfortable, and I couldn't play for a long time. And that's because my independent stroke sucked. So whether you're someone who's just started holding 4 mallets, or you're someone who has experience with 4 mallets but feels like their technique is a little bit tight, a bit tense, or you want to be able to play for longer without getting tired, then this video is for you, because today I'm going to be talking about 3 steps to make your independent strokes better. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to be talking about these, which are the Conrado Moya mallets. These are mallets from Marimba One that I've been wanting to show you guys on the show, but I wanted to find a good opportunity to actually use them in a real world situation. So I'm going to be using them in the exercise today. And my TLDR verdict of them is that they're pretty good. They are a little bit weighty. They're similar to my Pius Cheng mallets in terms of weight, but heavier than my Nanai Mamuras. And they have a more articulate sound profile. They do not sound as warm as you think they would sound given their appearance. You know, I love white mallets. You get a lot more hardcore sound from these mallets, but they still sound different to the older generation Marimba One mallets like Katarzyna Mishka et al. I think these sound a little bit more refined. You may want to consider these if you're looking for articulate mallets that still retain their warmth, but if you are someone who's just starting out, maybe not, because the price is a little bit on the higher side. Because this is a Technique Talk video, I just want to say real quick, I do not think that my technique is perfect. I think that definitely all of us have some way to go. I think most advanced marimba players would agree with me on this. You never really stop learning about your technique. So we're all on this journey together, and if you're enjoying today's video, please give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you have subscribed to the channel by hitting that red subscribe button below. Okay, let's get started with the exercises. All right, welcome to the Marimba. As you can see, we've got our Conrado Moya mallets for these exercises. We have the CMB4, CMB3, CMB3, and CMB2 at the top. Okay, so that gives us a very even sound in the middle, which is going to be good for the purposes of this exercise, but also any passages where you need to use the two mallets in the middle. So the first step to build your independent strokes is, ironically, to get rid of the mallets. Yes, not only do you not need mallets, you also don't even need the instrument for the first step, because we're going to be focusing on the most important part of the independent stroke, which is actually your hands. Your hands do all of the work, and the way you move your hands is integral to getting a really easy and loose independent stroke. So you might have heard other marimbas talk about this. We have this concept called the doorknob concept, where you imagine you're turning two knobs, maybe it's volume knobs on a DJ set, or yes, like two round doorknobs. And when you turn a doorknob, you don't really turn your entire arm, you don't really turn in a very rigid fashion. You usually just put your hand there and you just turn. We want to have the same effect when we are doing independent strokes. Okay, so start off by moving your hands in the doorknob fashion, or even just one hand at a time. You can do this at any speed, but preferably you should start relatively slow before you try and speed it up a little bit. You're not doing anything like this. You're not doing like a long piano movement. Nice and loose. If you feel any tension here, that means you're doing it too tight. Like if you're doing this. Do the same with both hands, especially your weaker hand. My weaker hand's my left hand. As you can see, it's always a little bit less refined. Okay, so now that we know how to do the general hand movement, we're going to try and make them more intentional, and we're going to make them more like strokes rather than just wibble, wobble, jibble, jobble. Okay, so let's start with the inside mallets first. Mallets, yes. The inside mallets, which will be these two. And when you're doing this, you almost want your hand to go basically like handshake position, and we're going to be a little bit more intentional with our movement now. Instead of just floating it in, we're just going to really turn it in, turn that doorknob. Once you're familiar with that, try doing the same thing with the outside mallets. Now this is a little bit trickier because you're going to be turning inwards from the outside, which can be a little bit confusing sometimes. And sometimes people are tempted to turn their arms in or turn their hands out like some sort of martial arts pose. So now you're able to do intentional independent strokes without any mallets in your hand. We're going to try and put them now into context with some rhythm. So now we're just going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and on each mallet. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's do it again together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Go. Now 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So yes, you can go as fast as you want with this, but as you can see, when you're just using your hands, you can only go up to a certain speed before it starts to feel a bit ridiculous. If you want to go faster, you're going to have to switch to mallets. Yes, okay, so step number 2 is to do independent strokes with individual mallets first. Okay, so we're going to pick intervals that are a little bit easier. I'd suggest picking something like fifths, because if you pick something like octaves, it's going to be a little bit difficult. And if you do something like seconds, it can be done, but we want to really focus on that rotation technique. And of course, we want to make it as easy as possible for ourselves, because this is not an exam. We are just doing exercises. So let's start off just like we did before with the inside mallets. And I'm going to start off with this one over here, which is mallet number 2. And it is the Conrado Moya number 3, for those of you who are interested in these mallets. In the same way we did with our hands when we were not holding mallets, when we were doing this before. Same thing over here. But this time, I'm going to overdo it even more. As you can see, I'm starting from an almost vertical position like this. And we're just going to start from this vertical position and go down. And it doesn't matter if it sounds rubbish or it looks rubbish, like this doesn't look like a nice stroke, like oh, or like oh, or right? It doesn't look that good, but the idea is that you want it to feel as loose as possible. So even if you feel really silly, and I'll do the same with my right hand now, just start from upright and just really just turn it very slowly. and very loosely. And if it ends up crashing on the bar, that's totally fine. Okay, so now that we have our ridiculous stroke and it seems all right, we're gonna try and start from a more reasonable height this time with the inside mallet. So let's start with number 2. Now, if you're having any problems with isolating the mallets, if your inside mallet is the one that you want, but the outside one keeps playing at the same time, like this, the easy way to isolate it is to literally just hold the mallet you don't want with your free hand and then just slowly turn your other mallet. Now, obviously don't hold it too tight, because if you hold it like really tight, that's gonna be really awkward. So just hold it a little bit firmly and then turn and turn and turn. And just keep doing that until you're able to get it without your hand holding it at all. Another way that you can make sure you're doing the right thing is to hold your forearm. So just put your hand here and just make sure that your arm isn't moving more than it should be. Now, this isolation thing took me a while when I first learned how to play 4 mallets about 10 years ago. It does take time, so don't be afraid if it doesn't come the first time. Okay, back to 4 mallets. We're gonna see if we can do the inside mallets now. So here we go. So it should feel pretty relaxed. And we're no longer going from like up here. We're just going from a regular height. So outside mallets, I'm just going to move it up here so you can see it. I'm just going to turn a little bit and raise it up while I'm doing it, but you can see it's just my wrist that's doing the turning. It's not my arm. I'm not going like this or anything like that. Up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Now, same thing, if you are having problems isolating it, just hold on to the mallet you don't want. And it feels a bit weird at first, but it's there. Again, don't worry too much about how the stroke looks, just focus on doing it efficiently. So even if you end up doing this, that's fine, as long as you're not doing this. Okay, as long as you're not forcing it. And same thing, you can hold your forearm if you want to isolate your wrist. Let's try the same thing with the right hand. So, okay, so now we're just going to hit each one a few times. Now, if you've reached this point and you feel like it's really tight, like it's like, it doesn't feel right, you're not doing the doorknob thing anymore, slow it down. Slow it down to And after you do this for a while, your mallets should feel quite loose. We can move on to the final step, which is putting all of it into rhythm. Now, this is really useful because yes, when we play pieces, it needs to be in time. We can't just play them at our own pace. We're gonna do the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and thing that we did with our hands, with no instrument, no mallets before, but with mallets this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, if it feels tight or unusual, either take it at the same speed or slow it down. Now, as you're doing this exercise, make sure you're also hitting the same part of the bar. As you get more confident with these strokes, of course, you can start to experiment with different areas of the bar, preferably not here or here, but you can go a little bit off to get different textures and different shades. Now, if you're feeling good, but you're not feeling confident enough to move to a faster tempo, try doing it up and then down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If you don't feel like you can go faster than that, then just keep it at that tempo for a while. And if you do this for like a week, for maybe 5 minutes a day for a week, you'll be instantly a lot more confident with your independent strokes. But we like to be adventurous on this channel, so we're gonna try and go a little bit faster. 1, 2, 3, go. That didn't sound very even, but and you know what? Just for fun, I'm gonna go even faster. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, you get the idea. Obviously, my mallet number 1 wasn't very good. But to recap, step number 1 is to use your hands. And this one can be carried all the way to professional life. I know many professional players who still do this before warm-ups. Step number 2 is to grab the mallets and to do each independent stroke individually and slowly with no tempo restriction whatsoever. And the final step, as we said, is to turn it into a rudiment and have a fixed tempo and do all of them in time. And other variations, of course, once you get really good at doing fifths, you can also do other octaves. Like I find that seconds can be really hard to get the isolation, but yes, there's many different ways you can permutate these exercises. And the most important thing, if you're not sure, go backwards and do it again. So yeah, that is my 3 steps to making your independent strokes better and easier. And if you have any questions about any of those steps or anything in today's video, let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you'd like to see any other types of technique talk videos about techniques that you're having trouble with, let me know down in the comments below as well. And if you enjoyed today's video, please give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it so much. And make sure you hit that red subscribe button below to keep up with my uploads. And make sure you hit that notification bell below to know whenever I upload a new episode, because I upload new content on this channel every single week, whether it's performance videos or videos like this where we talk about technique, or videos where we watch stuff on the Let's Watch segment. It's just all kinds of fun stuff. I am working on a few other projects that I'll let you know about in the coming weeks. Also, I just wanted to say a big thank you to all of you guys who have been streaming my new album, Hope. It has reached over 2,000 streams on both Spotify and Apple Music, and I'm super happy that you guys like the new album. It definitely was a big step for me to put it out because I've never done it before. So if you want to check out that album, it's at adamtanpercussion.com/hope, or you can just search my name or Adam Tan Hope on your favorite music streaming platform. Once again, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next week for another episode of The Studio. Good night.
I know your body, I know your heart. Your eyes told me from the start, but then you fall back.